Hello everyone, welcome back to SGSH Publication. Today we are having Sruthi ma'am with us. She is the co-author of the book Warmth of Thoughts. So first of all, ma'am, let us know how are you?
I'm doing fine. I just finished work, so how's work?
That's good to know. And ma'am, you have participated in this anthology. So what is your story about? I read your story. So can you please tell our audience what is about?
So basically, the story is just about a Martian guy who's come to Earth and he's seeing a solar eclipse for the first time. That is just basic premise of the story, and it ends with him becoming what's called a solar eclipse chaser. So these are people who goes around the Earth, around the globe, whenever it's a solar eclipse. They plan it months in advance and they go for a solar eclipse. So in the end, it's implied he also becomes a solar eclipse chaser because the first seeing a solar eclipse is life changing. I feel I've seen two in my life, and it's life changing. So I also like teach. I am also working in the astronomy field. I am a science educator in that. So when I was looking for material to research and send it for not send it like get for students, I read that only on Earth you get to see the marvelous solar eclipse. Anywhere else in the solar system, you don't get to see the same solar eclipse. So it's either that the moon of the planet is too small and it doesn't completely cover the sun, or that the sun is too far away that it doesn't have the effect. So on Earth is the only place you can get such a solar eclipse. So that's what I literally based the story on. A guy from Mars coming to Earth and seeing a solar eclipse for the first time.
That's very unique story, I must say, because it's really unique, yeah. So, ma'am, when you get started writing initially,
I started writing decades ago. That's giving away my age. But yeah, I started writing decades ago when I was a young child. And it was mostly like, it's never, I wouldn't say it was like an escape. It was just like every time for our school, for exams, we'll always have to do a creative writing during the exam. And without fail, there's a 250 word limit. Without fail, I'll go over 250. I'll always go to forget 300. I'll always hit 500 without fail.
that
So I never really thought about it as writing because again, I was only doing it during the exams or whenever there's an assignment to hand in. But again, I was writing a lot, not on my time, but I was writing a lot for work, school, and that itself is when it started.
that's amazing. Ma'am, when I was reading your bio, you have written that rest of the time, some of the time you spend with your pets. So, what is the
Yes.
story of the pets and how much you love them?
Don't ask how much I love them. One of them, few months ago, has attacked me. He has bit me, and I
Oh,
still keep him around. So that tells how much I love him. He bit me to the point that I was bedridden, and he's still around. So that's the answer for how much I love my pets. After biting me, I'm keeping them around.
that's
That's.
painful.
But
But
yeah, I have two pets living with me at home,
okay.
and one's called Spice. He's a cat, the one who bit me, and I have Fluffy, who was an old dog. Both of them actually we rescued. When I say we, I include my sister and my mom. We rescued off the streets. So Spice, when he was a kitten, he came to us. Fluffy, when she was actually old, she was like we call her grandma old. When
Yeah.
she was pretty old, that she was getting cataract. She's that old. She was somebody else's pet. She came to us. So we have had both around for 3 to 4 years, but they're not my only pets, to be frank.
Yeah.
I also have when I stay with my grandmother, I have a dog named Spotty,
Wow.
who is 17 or 18 years old. She is old and she's a street dog, so she was never tied up. So what we'll say is the life people wants to live is the life like Spotty, or the life dogs want to live. You're free to roam wherever you want, but you have a house to come in at night. So
That's
we can see all the dogs we had, or we had come past our cat. We can see them having the same tendency. They wish to roam, but they're not allowed to roam, or they don't have a place to come at night. Spotty had that. Hence why she's living to such an advanced age of 18. Street dogs and 18 years old, you never hear. I also have another dog with my mother's parents, whose name is Chico. She is she is one wriggly pot and very mischievous. I joke that she's mischief incarnate.
Wow.
So
You have
I have several pets among my entire family. Most of them, huh?
you can open the pet house, all the dogs are together. So you are
I
that.
have like as this as it is. I was in a. I also care for a lot of street dogs. So most of the street dogs I have given them name, but I don't consider them as mine because they are free to leave and they leave when they have to and they come back when they want to. But all the dogs that I have named, they are mine.
That's really nice to know because I love pets, but my parents said it is not easy to handle them. So can you say
No, they're
something
not.
of how to handle them if we want the pet?
So first thing is that you must have a routine. You must always have a routine, and the second they misbehave, you have to discipline them then and there. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they will not understand.
True.
So that's the main thing. You always have to have a routine. They have to know what's going on, and you have to maintain it. So, for example, Fluffy, if also the things that if you go out of the routine, they get confused. So once I remember we had to go out for like barely 1 hour, and instead of keeping the dog in the cage, we just left her inside the house. When we came back, the dog was like, "Where have you been? You abandoned me." Because it was out of a routine. So you always have to maintain the routine and you have to ensure that they are safe, they are comfortable. In the end, they rule you, but you have to ensure there's a balance. That's
That,
the
ma'am,
that's my thing
sometimes
with pets.
we heard that they don't know understand the language, but they understand the emotions, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes when you say that they beat you, right? So is there is anything that they are going through, or what is their reaction of that thought of beating you, biting you?
What that is actually a reaction because that time we just shifted the house and another cat was coming to kill my cat because they're territories. It's part of life,
Yeah.
very nature thing. It was just a territory dispute. So this other cat was coming to kill the cat. So I was like, okay, let me go and chase the other cat away. And I think my cat's ego got a bit hurt that he got chased. Do not exactly know why. He may have gotten a bit scared and he attacked me thinking I was the other cat. So what actually happened is like for 2 weeks after that attack, he avoided me. Like he'll enter a room and he'll stay like 2 meters, 3 meters away from me when usually he comes up and cuddle with me. So for 2 to 3 weeks, he was like that, and actually took 2 months for him to start coming up to me to cuddle. Otherwise, he was staying quite far because like he did feel pretty guilty about biting me when he realized what happened. But that second, it was like when you lose. Best way for me to say is when you get angry, you don't think.
Yeah.
He was angry, he was scared, he did not think. He attacked what he thought was a threat. Unfortunately, the person he thought was a threat was me, and I was bedridden for 2 months.
So that's a challenging journey to having the pet. It's not easy. We can
Yeah, it's not at all easy.
we can have pet, but the parenting is not that much easy. And ma'am,
Yeah.
what you do professionally, like what you do apart from the writing?
So I'm actually a science communicator slash teacher in a company called Space India. So there we actually mostly teach astronomy and space science subjects, which is how also I got to come up with this concept. And also while I'm in the company, I also write for the company's magazine and I'm an editor in the magazine. So that's the main task I'm having. So we go teach and I also write professionally, I guess. For the company's magazine, I write and edit.
So ma'am, what are the challenges you faced while writing or editing in the magazine or any write-up? What are the challenges that you usually face?
So when I write myself is one different challenge. When I edit for a magazine is a different challenge. Editing for a magazine is that you have to ensure that the readers know what's going on.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find that's very hard to balance the amount of information you want to tell the readers and what information you should remove from the writing. That's the trickiest part of the magazine editing. For me, writing when I do writing, when I'm not writing for work is like there's a deadline, there's a routine. But writing for magazine myself, it's having a time to write and having energy to write after the end of the day. So that is the hardest part for me, is like finding that time and dedicating the time to write and then liking what I write. The number
Yeah.
of times I have discarded or kept aside a writing, I actually have 4 separate stories kept aside because I was like, I hate this writing. Even when I was writing for this anthology itself, came up with, I had 4 separate ideas which I had come up with previously. I was thinking of expanding them. I hated everything I wrote. So luckily, I liked the Martian the solar eclipse story. Otherwise, I would have been like, nothing.
It's really
But
unique.
so for me, the hardest part is having the time and energy to write, as well as liking what I write. That once I get over that hump of liking it, then it's easy. But I got to get over that hump, and that usually takes months.
Definitely. And ma'am, what are your plans for the future for writing? Personal writing.
So personal writing. So mostly I would like to write. I have actually a 3-part story I'm currently working on, which is, if I have the time and energy, I can expand it to a longer, two longer stories, a 3-part and 2 separate stories attached. Then I can also work. I like to try writing a novella, but that again, time, energy, routine, the hell. So I want to work on that also. So those are the main 2 thoughts I would like to focus on. And then I have many smaller story writings which I want to work on and hopefully complete it. But again, time, energy, not that easy. Having to. That's
Publishing your solo book.
huh?
Have you thought of publishing your solo book?
I won't lie, I have thought of it, but then when you go and you research, there actually is quite a detailed thing. And currently at this time, I don't have anything that can be published or anything to show of like, hey, can you publish me? So I hope one day I have the time. Time, that's my thing. I need the time and energy, because that's one thing which I lack of all the other unfortunate priorities over writing. So I hope one day I have, and I also hope that I like the writing. That's the problem. That's the last problem. So I hope I have enough to actually show someone to be like, hey, what do you think? Is it good? Solo book. But at this time, no, I don't have anything. But I hope that's a future that will be the case.
That's amazing. And ma'am, what's your childhood memory that you always remember?
Oh God. Okay, so there's 2 memories. This is both of these memories just came up mostly because of writing.
Yeah.
So one story was, it was like final year, and the English exams. So then the English teacher, I remember the English teacher like reading most of the class, my class, the standards papers, and it's like going to the students and it's like, are y'all okay? Why are y'all writing these horrifying things? Why are they betrayal? Why are they no sunshine and rainbows? That was one thing which I remember, because it was like the teacher for a second was very concerned why her students is writing such bleak things, forgetting that it's teenagers and it's very bleak for them. Like it's a part of the growing process. But at the same time, she was like, it's fun, but I just am concerned about the writing. And another part, which honestly, I think I should have gotten punished for this, or at least some pushback from the teacher. But I remember how, again, this is school, this is exam time. So I remember there was a last session, there was a question where I don't remember the question, but I do remember I went against the question. I didn't answer the question properly. I wrote something which is not answering the question, but my writing was so good that the teacher was recommending it to the entire grade.
That's
So
amazing.
because students would be asking like, hey, to know what standard is, they were asking the teacher which this thing, so she recommended my story, and I was like, Miss, I went against the answer. I don't answer the question. How are you giving me the props? No, it's very good. So I won't lie, I should have gotten a pushback for it, but
True.
it was good enough that they were like, you know what, we'll look over the fact that you don't answer it.
Definitely, ma'am. It was very funny. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And ma'am, what's your hobby apart from the writing and this pet parenting?
Okay, so you took away the other answer I had. So, other hobbies that I had is I like reading, obviously. Comes hand in hand with writing. And then I like painting. Sometimes I paint. It's not masterpieces. I just paint. I color. Use color pencils. I remember recently I was telling my friend I bought some coloring books so I can color. And she was like, "What the hell did you buy coloring books for? Like that's a very childish thing." And I was like, "Go." And I showed her the coloring books I bought, which is actually for like there's literally an industry for adults to do the coloring, and it's very relaxing. I encourage you to try it if you can. It's supremely relaxing because I remember shortly after I submitted my story for this anthology, I was burnt out. I couldn't write anything, so I literally went and colored
Yeah,
for
you
2 days.
posted the painting in your bio profile, yeah, in the
Yeah,
anthology.
so that one was actually a long time back. That was like years
Oh,
ago, which I took. I did it because again, I don't like appearing on screen. That's the thing of mine. I don't like appearing on screen. So I always keep a profile picture. I grew up in the actually it's mostly because I grew up in an age where they did not encourage you show your face. They always encourage you have an avatar, which
true.
is why that has stuck with me till now. So again, that's another hint of how old I am.
Yeah,
So I couldn't write at all. So I was just for 2 days straight. I was just coloring, and it came out quite well. The end product, but at the end of coloring, I was like, okay, I'm ready to write again. So I balance this coloring and writing thing so that it helps the creative juice continue to flow. And if I can't do one, I always have another. So that's something which I do,
that's,
and also painting.
your nature and your vibes are like artistic. You are a type artist, so I must appreciate
Yeah.
it. And when I saw your, profile that yeah, you are artistic, that painting, small painting, very creative type, that I really loved it.
Yeah.
I think you must
Yeah.
continue artist.
I actually I try my best whenever I have the
Yeah,
time. And for
definitely.
me, what I find is that it's a very calming process. And
True.
I actually encourage whoever watches this to go and
Yeah.
try, adults especially. It's like if you take 30 minutes, I know
Mm.
30 minutes sounds a lot, but once you start, and don't think about making it a masterpiece. It can be the ugliest thing in the world, but it's just a way to relax. And
But yeah,
so
like writing any art form is, peaceful.
just
Yeah.
a way to relax.
Like,
Yeah, just a way to relax. And I think that's something which I want people to understand
yeah,
when I say
definitely.
that, I mean, I'm just thinking of a friend of mine who's very particular on how she writes, and she kills the joy for herself. So I
Yeah.
was just like, just enjoy what you write. If you find you hate it, just stop and write something else. Then come back, and later you'll be like, oh, actually, I wrote. That's something which I learned recently is when I go and read my younger, like 2 years, forget 2 years, when I read the story I wrote 10 years ago, I'm like, oh, I actually had something good here. When I read a story I wrote 2 years ago, oh, I had something good here. At that time, I hated it. It was abandoned because I hated it a lot. But when I go and read it with that hindsight, with the distance from it, I'm like, oh, actually, I had something good here. So I can go and expand on it. So that's my writing process. It's like sometimes a year long thing,
Yeah.
sometimes a months long thing. It's never a overnight thing. Very
I
rarely it's an overnight, but most of the time it's months.
think it's over. Yeah. And ma'am, how was your experience in this anthology with the compiler, with the co-author and the SGSH publication?
It was very, it was like very quick, very respectful, and very like understanding. I won't lie, I was the one who actually held up the entire anthology because I was just that busy. But they were so kind and they were like, okay, yeah, sure, submit when you have to. And then I was like, I finally managed to submit it, but it's like I still feel guilty for that, like holding it up. But again, the second I was like, oh, y'all actually were working on it before while you were waiting for me. That's very cool. Like, okay, yeah, she's gonna take her time. She's gonna submit it. Let her take that time. I will prepare everything else. And then once I submitted it by that night, it's like, okay, we have the first draft ready. And it's like, wow, it's very fascinating and very
The compiler was little bad.
compiler was
Yeah.
interesting. So I was like, it's not too bad. It was a very good experience. And also, what I appreciate is that even Though I was shocked when I learned he was quite young, because
Yeah.
he was very respectful. He understood he was getting into a lady's personal message, and he understood that the lady would not appreciate that. So I
Yeah.
won't lie, I was initially pretty rude to him. I was not that rude to him because I knew him from a previous anthology, but I was not very friendly in the beginning because, again, unknown guy entering my personal message. But he was very respectful and he did not take offense to the fact that I was very standoffish and very rude. Because, again,
It's yeah.
you do not know who's entering your personal message. So
Definitely.
that was very much appreciated, that they were very like,
Definitely. Even
hi, this is the information that we want. So this is what we have. Would you like to join? Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
definitely. It was, he was very nice to, even publication also, he did all the things, and then the manuscript is ready. Within some time, he shared the manuscript. So yeah, he was very quick and responsible for
Yeah.
his work. And ma'am,
So
what is
it's like
the
it,
definition of happiness in your life? What is the definition of happiness in your life?
okay, so right now definition has changed. So it's again spending time with my pets, having a story which I like very happy with. That's one. Being with my pets. Very strange. I mean, it's not strange because I just actually few weeks ago I just started to walk again after being bedridden. Being able to walk, I'm sure being able to run will be another definition of happiness.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how when you get injured, it entirely changes. So again, so it's very simple. It's like for me, it's very small things. Spending time with my pets, spending time with my friends and family, writing, having quiet moments to myself. Actually, like when my parents were building a house, they built a place so that me and my sister, we bought a quiet, not my quiet, she is not quiet. We both like to have a corner where we can read. So they literally built a spot in the room where we can read.
Nice.
So it's like these small things which I am very,
Grateful.
that I think happiness is attached to that. So
Yeah. And ma'am, what was your lessons of the life? Means till now, what are the one or two things that you never forgot that this lesson is the must?
try, always try. Even if you're terrified of doing it, like you're shit, like you're
Oh,
mind out terrified, just try. The worst you can get is a no. People don't
definitely.
think as much. People don't put that much thought into what someone's doing unless they're doing a very horrendous thing. So if you're not doing something bad, that's fine.
Yeah.
But always try. Just try, but you got to try at the right time. That's the thing. You have to try at the right time. If you try too early, it doesn't work. If you try too late, it doesn't work. So
Very
there are some things which I have procrastinated on and did not try. I regret that. But for example, I said yes to an anthology even though I was recovering, and it was fun to write a story. It's great. I'm glad I submitted it.
true, ma'am. It was very nice meeting with you. And ma'am, my
Very nice
last
meeting you
question
too.
is, if you want to ask me something, please ask. Then we can leave this meeting.
Oh, I never even thought about asking this thing. Okay. What's the possibility of me getting a book published by SSGH?
What is the? Can you repeat?
What's the possibility of me getting a book of mine published or a novella? We'll start with a novella.
Possibility.
What's the possibility?
Yeah. For us, every book is, masterpiece, whether it's small or big. So I think it's 100% possibility you can publish anytime with us, because your our writing is not based on someone's opinion. It is all from our emotion. So I think all
Yeah.
books are just masterpiece, whether people like it or not. But whether if the author like it, then everything is just amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
ma'am.
much.
Spread goodness, spread
Thank you.
happiness. It was really nice
Yes.
talking to you and had a
It was
very
lovely
great
talking to
fun
you.
with you. Say hi to your pets from my side.
Yeah. They'll be happy that more people are like interested in them.
Thank you, ma'am. We will
Okay.
meet again
Thank you so
for
much.
sure.
We'll meet. Sure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.